For decades, the American dream followed this very strict, almost sacred script, right? You go to college, land a stable corporate 9 to 5, climb that ladder for 40 years, and then boom, you retire with a nice pension. Well, today, that script is being completely shredded. We're witnessing a massive generational shift right now. And in this explainer, we're going to dive into the data and the source material to figure out exactly why traditional jobs are failing a whole new generation of workers.
You see, Gen Z isn't just quietly changing jobs or, hopping from one competitor to another. They're actually walking away from the entire concept of traditional employment. They are literally logging off, shutting their laptops, and saying, I quit. And they're not just saying that to a manager, they're saying it to the whole established system of corporate labor here in the US. It's a fundamental rejection of the way things have just always been done.
Okay, let's dive into this. Mainstream media loves to throw around the word lazy for this generation, but the data paints a completely different picture. The corporate world broke its promise first. That old promise of a stable 40-year ladder? It's been totally replaced by a harsh new reality of sudden Zoom layoffs, completely flat salaries, and let's face it, absolutely unaffordable US rent. The math simply doesn't add up anymore.
So here is our agenda. We're going to break down the 5 core reasons driving this massive shift. 1. The broken social contract. 2. Death of corporate hierarchy. 3. Mental health above hustle. 4. The entry-level hiring crisis. And 5. The rise of portfolio careers.
All right, let's start with number 1, the broken social contract. Think about it. Gen Z grew up watching their parents give 110% loyalty to their companies, right? Giving up family dinners and weekends for total dedication. And the reward? For so many, it was just getting abruptly fired on a cold, automated 2-minute Zoom call during the latest wave of tech layoffs. They saw firsthand that corporate loyalty is pretty much a myth. That unwritten social contract, take care of the company and the company takes care of you, has been entirely voided. And this brilliantly illustrates the core issue. Look at flat corporate entry-level salaries getting drastically outpaced by skyrocketing US rent and grocery bills. I mean, when a standard 40-hour workweek can't even guarantee your basic survival, let alone hitting that traditional milestone of buying a house, sacrificing your youth for a steady paycheck completely loses its appeal.
Moving on to point 2, death of corporate hierarchy.
Traditional corporate culture runs on a really rigid top-down mindset. It's very much a do what I say, no questions asked environment. But Gen Z was raised entirely in the internet age, and the internet is fundamentally an era of transparency and open information. So when they run into micromanagers or get forced to follow useless corporate rules, like commuting 2 hours in heavy traffic just to sit at a desk on Zoom calls all day, they don't just nod and comply. They ask why. They strictly value actual competence over mere seniority or ego. If a workplace relies on because I'm the boss instead of because this is the most efficient way, they simply pack their bags.
Which brings us to number 3, mental health above hustle.
We are seeing a really deep rejection of those midnight, blue light lit, unpaid overtime sessions that used to just be the standard. Gen Z refuses to let a corporate job define their entire human identity. They are drawing a really hard line in the sand to protect their peace. Work is something you do. It is absolutely not who you are. So the crucial point is how the definition of hustle culture has completely flipped. For older generations, burning out was almost a badge of honor, right? It was proof of your dedication. But Gen Z, they view chronic hustle culture like staying at the office late just to look busy as a glaring symptom of toxic, inefficient management. They deeply reject performative busyness. To them, it's just a completely outdated and illogical way to live.
All right, let's look at number 4, the entry-level hiring crisis.
Let's actually walk through what a young person faces today when they're just trying to enter the workforce. Step 1. Artificial intelligence is aggressively automating all the basic grunt work, which means those true entry-level tasks are just vanishing. Step 2. Because of that, automated HR filters and recruiting tools now routinely demand 3 to 5 years of experience for jobs that are somehow still labeled beginner or entry-level. And step 3, as a result, simply getting a human being to even look at your resume, let alone scoring an interview, feels like winning the lottery. The entry-level market has become fundamentally inaccessible to the exact people it was designed for.
And finally, number 5, rise of portfolio careers.
So instead of fighting a broken system, they're building a new one. Enter the portfolio career. Look, Gen Z are digital natives. They literally grew up with supercomputers in their pockets. Before they even graduate college, many of them already know exactly how to build online audiences, edit high-quality content, and leverage advanced AI tools. They aren't relying on a single employer anymore. Instead, they're running print-on-demand e-commerce stores, taking on specialized freelance gigs, and building monetized content channels, all at the exact same time. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the profound question it raises. Why would anyone sell 40 hours of their week to a single company for a totally capped salary? Seriously, when you have the tools to scale your income globally from your childhood bedroom, the traditional deal looks like a pretty bad investment. Instead of begging corporate gatekeepers for permission to work, Gen Z strongly prefers the autonomy of creating their own diverse income streams entirely from scratch. Let's move to and see how this builds into the bigger picture. When you combine all these factors, it becomes crystal clear that Gen Z is simply bypassing the corporate gatekeepers entirely. And make no mistake, this isn't just a temporary phase or some passing internet fad. This explainer's core takeaway, drawn directly from the data and the cultural shifts we're seeing, is that this mass exodus is a permanent shift in labor dynamics. Gen Z firmly believes that work should just be a part of your life, a mechanism to fund your passions and your existence, not your entire life. The balance of power is undeniably shifting from the mega institutions back to the individual. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative question to ponder. As the old corporate script gets completely rewritten before our eyes, both here in the US and around the world, are we truly witnessing the end of the traditional 9-to-5, or are we just watching its forced evolution? I really encourage you to think about what this means for the future of financial freedom, labor dynamics, and honestly, how you value your own time. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the script.